What if you could read all the books that are on your to-do list this year and understand everything about them, and not only that, read them 2 or 3 times faster than you ever have. And all of this without being a speed reader. Like most of us, I've always heard about the benefits of reading more books, including links to improved memory and cognitive function, as well as the other physical benefits like reduced stress, or even helping reduce the chance of Alzheimer's disease as we age. And not to mention the countless business people and celebrities that talk about reading as a key to success.
And I would say reading is the strongest signal for success in the future that I've ever seen. When you are a great reader, you can articulate and speak and command the English language in ways that other people cannot. And people think you're a lot smarter than you are, lots of times, because you're a great reader.
But for me, and I imagine many of you, this superpower just seemed out of reach. One of the biggest barriers that I found to loving and enjoying books was that I could never seem to find enough time in my day or my week. But even when I found the time, the other issue for me was I am such a slow reader. When I used to read books like this, I didn't enjoy it. It took me too long. I didn't get that feeling that I wanted to go back for more and more books. In theory, it shouldn't be so hard if you just do the math. The average reader reads about 250 words per minute. I'm a bit slower. But say I try to put in 15 minutes worth of reading each day. That's about 3,000 words per day. And the average nonfiction book is about 50,000 words. That's a little over 16 and a half days to finish a book. Not so bad, right? But that never happened. Once you add in other distractions like work and family and all the other activities in my life, all that activity made for inconsistent reading. And that just led to a slower reading pace, which only led to reading frustration and disappointment. It would take me months to finish a single book until I learned these simple but incredibly impactful steps for reading success. I went from a reluctant reader who didn't enjoy books at all to a voracious reader who loved reading more and more books faster and faster, soaking up so much more information, so much so that I wrote my own book. It was while doing the research for writing my book that I discovered these 4 powerful keys. And the first key starts with set reading as a goal. I know that sounds really simple, but it is the most important thing that you can do for yourself, and especially this year. All right, setting a goal, that means intentionally setting yourself a target to get better at something this week, this month, this year, whatever that is for you, and reading is one of those things. By understanding where you are today and setting yourself an achievable target to get better at it, you're already on your way. And once you've committed to it, the next thing you need to do is set up your life for reading. So setting up your life for reading a book is kind of like setting up your life for having a toddler in the house. You want to make sure that your environment is set up for its purpose. The same thing applies for reading books. If you set up your environment to read more, you will read more. To set up my life for reading, I've put a book on the nightstand in my bedroom. The book that I want to read is always there. So I know that every night as I try to wind down, the book is available. Another thing that I've done is I have given myself several ways to read, and that is setting up an Audible account so that I can listen to audiobooks while I'm out and about. That means having a book reader on my phone so that while I'm in public transportation, I have a way to read the books. There was a time when I thought that physical books were the only books in the world. I thought that it was cheating to do anything other than have a book in my hand, to be able to caress it, hold it, flip through the pages, smell every bit of the book. That's what I thought, and I was so wrong. Sometimes you need more modern, more convenient ways to read those books, and I promise you, you'll still enjoy it just as much, and in fact, some of you may enjoy it even more. Now, just by making a few adjustments to making reading a goal, committing to it, and reading on a more regular basis, and by setting up my environment, you can already see the difference. Now I can consistently do 30 minutes a day, at least. And just by doing the math, that takes it down to reading a full book in just over a week. And as I set up my life for reading in more places than just home, even with my slow reading, I can easily read over an hour a day. And that dramatically improves how quickly I can finish a book, which just keeps me more excited and more motivated to read. if you give yourself an opportunity to skip other types of screen time for book time, it will double the amount of books that you can read. Because as you're usually scrolling social media, that scrolling can be learning and reading. It'll change the way that you look at your phone when I'm in a waiting room, when I'm on the bus, when I'm waiting for my food order to come. All of those times for me have become reading time. And it's now no longer just in the bedroom. It's my whole life is set up for making sure that I can get information in as much as I want and as much as I need. Now, these final two things are the most important ways that you can speed up your reading this year. The best way that you can change your reading life, and I found mind-blowing, was becoming a parallel reader. I'm not sure when it happened, but I've always thought that you could only read one book at a time. Now, I've found out that you don't have to be monogamous with a book. You can actually have multiple books on the go at the same time. Think about the way you watch television. You may be watching one series, but that doesn't mean that you don't watch any other television shows at all. You can easily watch one series and then flip to another channel and watch another show whenever you need to. So for me, I take one or two books in the subject area that I'm trying to learn, and I will read those books. Then I may have another book that's on a completely different subject, but it's one that I'm interested in. If those books aren't giving me joy, I switch to the other book. I read the things that I'm most interested in at the time, and it makes reading so much more pleasurable, so much faster, and so much more productive in every way. The last and final way that you can speed up your reading for this year and make yourself a better, more effective reader is to drop it. Drop it like it's hot. What I used to think is that I had to finish every single book that I started.
I don't let myself start a book that I'm not going to finish.
And I took that to heart, and I thought I had to finish every single book that I read. I was so wrong. Life is too short to read something that you're not enjoying. So what I found is I would read everything that I could. I would read all the good parts that I had in mind. And if I still wasn't enjoying that book, I moved on to something else. It was so much more fulfilling because I felt liberated that I could leave a book behind that wasn't treating me well. You need to be able to read things that you enjoy. So if you're not enjoying it, stop that book, drop it, move on to something else that is enjoyable. Like I was saying, I quite often read several books in parallel. So if I come back to that same book and still can't finish it, I know that it's just not the book for me. Whether it's the author's tone, their pace, the subject matter just didn't connect with me, whatever the reason, I would give up on that book after I came back to it 2 or 3 times, and I suggest you do the same. Now, I bet you're wondering which books you should read. Well, you can find out all about it in this next video.